governor. Was doing the raves and everything. I was all over the place, and the death threats are big. People are getting shot. I had a mate of mine taken up the woods and shot. People are committing suicide, and
Going crazy.
in the 80s it went stupid. In the 90s, then I think it was all the ecstasy and the acid tabs in the 80s. Then in the 90s, and in the 80s, the E's as well. The E's what calm people down. So although you could still have it under control, but as soon as it hit the 90s, the E's and everything went out of. They started taking cocaine.
Yeah.
And that's when they started going fucking mad. Like people start getting aggressive. Like, you know what I mean? And they'd show up in raves with guns, and they kidnapped a few boys. A few of the doormen got kidnapped and stripped and beat up and tortured, and it totally got out of control. Like. And I should have just walked out on it then. Like, I got a normal 5 to 9 job, but it was embarrassing going for a job. I couldn't read all right, and I'd go for a job, like, you know what I mean? Try and act sensible, like. I remember one job I went for, like, and they knew I couldn't read all right. I said, I can't read all right. I said, well, what can you do? Can you clean? Are you all right as a cleaner, like clean the cars and that? And I thought, you're taking the fucking piss out. I'm a fucking doorman, like, you know what I mean? And I said, yeah, I'll do anything, like. And they didn't even get back to me, like. It was abuse, like. Yeah. And you could see in their faces when you'd go for a job, like, you know what I mean? I'd always be honest, like. I said, I can't. Well, why can't you read all right? I said, I didn't know until I went to prison that scopotopic sensitivity and the optic nerves, and some, you know, just some nerves don't meet, and numbers, you know. If I get a letter come through, it's like the letters and the words jump about a bit, like I can't focus on it, like, and it's a terrible. My mum come from Ireland, Cork. She's a beautiful woman, like a big Viking. She was fair skin, fair hair, blue eyes, beautiful featured and everything, like. Siobhan O'Sullivan. Her mum was Mary O'Sullivan. Her dad was Paddy O'Sullivan from Cork. Got a big family over in Cork, like, you know what I mean. I think a lot of them went over to America, all over the world, like, you know. I got a mate, Joe Higgins. Is it Joe Higgins?
Joe Egan?
Joe Egan.
Big Joe Egan, the boxer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's fantastic.
He's meant to be coming on soon.
Oh,
Joe, we're still waiting for you.
Joey! Joey Higgins! You're fantastic. He's great. The size of him, you know what I mean? You think I'm big. He's fucking, he's ginormous. Ginormous. Irish, he was doing the doors in Birmingham, I think he was, all over the country, like. And he was talking to him one day, like, and this other fella kept interfering all the time, like. And he just put his hands up and pushed him, like, and the bloke went flying across the room, like, his arms and his hands. He's very much like Lenny McLean's build, like.
Yeah, like a big thick frame.
He's like Lenny McLean, like, you know what I mean? But he's a lovely fella, like Matt Legg. I trained in the boxing prison, a pro boxer. He won all his amateur fights apart from one or two. He fought the Joyces, Paul Joyce.
Yeah, so Norm, can we just go into a bit of that? You say when he's in the prison, you used to help out the younger ones, and you obviously was helping Matt. How did that sort of first start out?
Well, I went in there. I was a hardy doorman when I went in. Like, I got put away for firearms. The fella, I went around his house, like, and let a few shots go, blew a few plant pots up in his car and everything, and bless him, like, you know what I mean? I should have done it. It was wrong. All right, he was a bully, and he did cause a lot of trouble, and he did paralyse a few people, and he done time for crippling people and beating a lot of people up. He hurt a lot of people, like. But there's no excuse. I shouldn't have gone around. I was fed up with fighting towards the end. In the early 90s, I was fed up with fighting. I had enough of fighting, like. And I'd say, look, lads, look, if you want to fuck me off, mate, I'll come around and I'll blow your fucking head off, like. And I said, look, Adam or Eve it, mate. You know, it's up to you. And if I said that, I'd mean it. I would come around your house. I mean, a few years earlier, I'd go around the house with an axe or go where they work. The gallery, I smashed the gallery up with an axe. Like, I had mental problems. I think I used to have to go and see the doctor. I had to be on no end of, I forget what I was on now. Like, I was on a lot of tablets. Like, I was saying to them, I don't know what's going on because I was really a gentle-natured boy. I was a mummy's boy. Like, I split up with my parents when I was about 7 or 8. Got brought up over in Spain. So I didn't really have any parents bringing me up. My nan lived through the Boer War, the First World War, the Second World War. And her dad was a traveller, a bare-knuckle fighter traveller. And her mum was a Jew. That was a funny old mix. And my mum was Irish and her family was from Cork. And it was a funny, and they're all fruiters and that, like, you know what I mean? It was a funny old bringing up, like. And as a child, like my nan, because I couldn't read or write, she ended up getting a box of cereals, a grey box, and ripping it into little bits and putting the alphabet down in blue ink or black ink. And it was something to do with my coloured blindness. As a child, I could take to it. So I never did learn the alphabet, but that started me off, like. But she used to say as a child I was retarded, mentally retarded, like, because my mum used to have fits when I was a child, like, and she used to be very, very aggressive. She used to get bad. She was a lovely woman. I love my mum. I love my nan to pieces as well, like. But she said because she used to get in these mad fits as a child, she said it pushed your brain to the back of your head, Norman. And of course, you get told you're illiterate, you're a moron. You start believing it, like. Yeah. So I found out I didn't mix that much either, like. I used to keep myself to myself. And if I did make friends, like, because I couldn't read or write, used to make fun of me, like, you know. And of course it's cruel. People can be cruel, you know what I mean? Especially in the 60s. That's when I first used to go over to Spain.
Did you find that sort of where people are sort of bullying you or picking on you? Does that really sort of start to fight back at a certain point?
Well, yeah, I used to lump it all the time, like, you know what I mean? If I went home to my granny, she used to have a snakeskin stick and she used to beat the fuck out of me. But I used to love her to pieces. But that's the way she come from the 18th century, the end of the 18th century. And she got brought up by her grandparents, but probably, you know, time forgotten, like, that's the way they were, like, you know. But I loved her to pieces, my grandmother. But I could find people could be very cruel, you know. Yeah. Especially as a child, like, you know what I mean? You could take for a mug, like, a lot of the times, like, you know what I mean? And what I used to try and I had a nice nature. I was a mummy's boy. I mean, as a kid, like, I wanted to be a monk. I wanted to feed birds and, you know what I mean? And unbelievable, like, I just love life, you know what I mean? I used to go down in Spain, down to the old trash cans. I used to put all the rubbish and catch mice and put them in a tin can and a plate over the top, like, a glass plate, and take them home. But then I thought I'd get in little cardboard boxes, like, you know what I mean? They started breeding, so I'd got a load of cardboard boxes. I'm thick as shit, and I used to feed them bread and that. They used to chew themselves out of the cardboard boxes, and they fuck it all over the fucking house. And they used to beat me senseless. But me and my brother, the first time I went over there was in the 60s. I lived over there. And the second time, not in the 70s, my brother was over there for 2 years with me, like. But we used to go up the woods. I mean, Spain, like, is a total different country, like. And you used to have the bricks on the ground. And we used to pick the bricks up, and underneath used to be like these big spiders with these big legs, what used to try and hook us. And we used to catch these spiders. And we took them up. We didn't know what they were. Fucking scorpions, weren't they?
Oh, bloody hell.
But that's, you know, that's what you learn in different countries, different. And We found out what it was. We fucking got scared, and we buried them for about 2 months, like on the ground, like. And we dug them up one day, and they were still alive. You know, you can freeze them as well. You know, scorpions.
Yeah. What,
you can freeze, and yeah, like frogs. Do you know frogs? You can freeze a frog, then this thing freeze it because it can take its body temperature down to such a. And these, I've learned it because I had an African bullfrog. And I kept it in the shed over winter, like it froze up, bless it. And I thought it was dead, so I put the heater on, and it warmed up, and it just froze, and it come alive again. I know, Christ. These scorpions, we took them out the woods and let them go, like. And snakes, we used to catch snakes as well. They used to always try and bite us. But we got this little snake, and I think it was a slow worm. But it got out one day and got on where the door was, on top of the door there. My grandmother come through, and it landed on her shoulder. That was another good caning we got, like, you know what I mean? And the dogs, like, bless them. He used to feed the dogs. They used to follow me home. So we had loads of dogs, and she used to go mad about that. But then I went up and bought some. I thought they were canaries up in the market, like little baby canaries. I brought them home, and they were chickens, baby chicks, weren't they? Baby ducks, and fuck me, bless her. She had to put up with me, like, you know what I mean? And she used to say, "Oh, he can't help it, like he can't read all right. I think he's retarded." Fight game. I mean, my grandfather, Barnet Fair, he used to be like the governor up there. And I used to want to be like him, Big Bucky, like 22 stone he was. Lovely bloke, animal lover, everyone loved him, like. My dad was a lovely fella as well, like. He was the local hard nut here, like, he used to do all the doors. Very quiet, the lovely fella, like. My mum was off her head, like. And bless her, like, she was a lovely woman, like. I remember he used to come back here, like, they said, "Oh, she's done another boyfriend." Then I said, "What do you mean?" They said, "Oh, she's got another boyfriend. She's beat him up. He's in hospital, like." So she was an handful. But my dad used to box in the army, and me and my brother used to go out with my dad and do the doors. And I said, "Dad, why do you always knock people out?" You know what I mean? I said, "Why don't you just turn the?" He said, "I'm 5'4". He said, "I'm too short to argue with them." He said, "So you knocked them out." And they never used to come back, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. That was the day, and that's the way it was done, like, you know what I mean? And Billy Deese, he was my uncle. He married me auntie. He was from Tame. He was a professional boxer. So all in the farm, they're all fighters in the family, like. And the family, the Bucklands are a tough family, like, you know what I mean? They come from London, like, originally my granny come from the East End. She was always to talk about Whitechapel and that. She used to tell me about the East End and the Second World War and everything. Then she met Bucky, like. He was from Camden Town. I think they ended up settling in Camden Town after the Second World War. Or they come straight over here or something like that. I think Bucky got in trouble up there. I think he was out with he used to talk about the bloke with a scar down his face, the ones the Crays used to work for.
Oh, right.
What was his name, the ones the Crays used to work for? He had the scar. He used to call him the King of London. He used to work with him because they had trouble in Aylesbury once down the betting shop, like, and he come in, like, and I said, "Fuck me." I said, "What did he come in to run Aylesbury as well?" They said, no, he wouldn't mess with Bucky, like. So he was up there with the top boys, like, you know what I mean? But he got out of London, like, and they come down here. I always thought it was like because of the bombing and everything in the Second World War, you know, when people would leave, come out of town, come out the way, like. But so the family was fighting all over the family, like. They're all gypsies, travellers, and the strong Irish family, like, you know what I mean?
Sort of bred into the fight game.
Jews as well. I mean, the Jews were the first gangsters over in America. They were. But we all
just keeps glinting my eye. Out. Corner of my eye, I can see a couple of shiny belts sitting over there.
Oh, can we have a look? Yeah. The belt Roy Shaw gave me.
I keep catching my eye, Norman.
That's the belt Roy Shaw gave me.
So that was actually Roy Shaw's belt, yeah?
He gave me that. That come from, bless him, loving the pieces, like. I got to thank him very much. Young Joey Pole, Ricky English, like. They got me there, like. They got me. They you know what I mean? I'm proud of them and thank you for everything they done for me. I never did show them the respect I should have showed them, like, you know what I mean? when you're up there and you're on top and you're the governor, like, you know what I mean? I wanted better fights. I wanted someone like Kimbo Slice.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd have loved to fought Kimbo Slice, like, you know what I mean? Bare knuckle with him. That would have. I fought some good boys in the street. I was already the governor before I even went up to London, like. But that I wanted the belt. I wanted the Roy Shaw belt, the governor's belt, because I wanted, you know what I mean? That was with the gloves on, the governor with the gloves on. I was already the governor with the gloves off, the bare knuckle champion, and I would fight anyone. Even my brothers took me over to Cork once to fight one of the Irish travellers over their top name up in Manchester. I think it was Alex McPhee. Some big names. Do you know? I can't remember how many fights I had. Like, you know. To me,
so you fought bare knuckle and obviously in the ring with gloves.
Yeah, and martial arts. Yeah. I fought for Thai box. You used to Thai box.
Yeah.
I used to Thai box for over Milton Keynes. I had a load of them as well. So I'd jump in them with anything like boxing, Thai boxing. Pete Garnish overtime. I boxed for him. He was high up in the ABA.
Never turn a fight down, eh?
No, I'd in the street, but I wasn't a bully. I'd never cause a fight, even these days. Well, I'm an old man now, but even in my day, I'd never make a fight. You know what I mean? I was never a bully. I wasn't a bully. Yeah, this is, I've got to say my mate's name here because he'll kill me if I don't say his name. Here's the governor! The effing governor. And this is who I passed my belt down to. The Stormy Norman Governor belt. Gary Furby. He gives me stick if I don't tell him. Yeah, he does have this belt. He has the governor's belt. Gary Furby, like, he was boxing up Caesar's Palace. Oh, I love this belt. Don't you like it?
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
That's great, isn't it? That's Spartan belt. Spartan. Yeah, bare knuckle Spartan fighting, like. My mate runs it all. I'm terrible for names. He runs it all up north, like, you know what I mean? And I was really taken in when I used to go up to his shows, like, and he had some top boys fighting for him, like, and Gary Furby was fighting there. And I can remember him, he come down to Caesar's Palace when Joey Parr was there, and he was 30.5 stone, and he'd fight anyone. I'll give him credit now. Now he's knocking on, he's like me, we're both old now, we've got to call it a day, like, you know what I mean? Got to call it a day, and, you know, just calm down a bit and don't get aggravated and don't let people wind you up, mate. You know what I mean? You're a great fighter, and you always will be a great fighter. He could put anything together, like, and his hooks, his left hooks, and even his right hooks, like, I mean, when he fought for this belt, I see a picture when he caught the bloke with a right hand, like, and the sweat just flew off the bloke, and how the bloke kept getting back up, I don't know. He should have never got back up, like, you know. Matt Legg, when I trained him up, he retired for a while, like, he won all his fights as a pro, like, he only lost 2. And he come back, he retired for a while, and they give him a fight with AJ. And he phoned me up, he said, Norm, he said, I've been given a fight with AJ at Wembley. It's one of his, as he's coming through, he's knocking everyone out in the first and second round, like. He said, Norman, he said, but, I said, he used to come up and watch you, didn't he? He was a fan of Matt Legg's. Yeah, he was a fan. AJ was a fan of Matt Legg's, like. But AJ was something else. He went for that spell where he just kept knocking everyone out in the first and the second round, like.
How did that first start off when you first started to train Matt Legg, Norman?
In prison, yeah, it was unbelievable, like. He was something off the Green Mile. Have you ever watched the Green Mile? Unbelievable, like. And the great big fella, like, you know what I mean? What was his name? The great big bodybuilder. Yeah. Massive. What he said, I couldn't take it back. And he was a great actor. The screws come into me. He said, Norman, 2 of the screws come into me. He said, Norman, we've got someone coming in, like, you know what I mean? They said they put us on the YP wing. They put me on there because there's a lot of taxing on the YP wing, and it was the YP wing and from kids up to about 21 years of age, like. and they're wild. There's a few in there for lifers, and because they're on remand, that makes me even more madder because they've still not got their sentence. They got to go up for their sentence, and some of them are looking for lifers. Like there was one bloke, he robbed the store on the way out. Like he turned the gun and blew the woman's head. Like you know what I mean? What was But the point is, you had to be civil to him. I had to tell him what he was looking at. You know what I mean? I said, mate, you're looking at Big Bird, mate. You're not going to walk here. Like what you done was wrong. I said, but you got to come to terms now. Like you're only young. You'll be out in 15 years' time. You'll still be young when you come out. Like I said, you've ruined people's lives, but you got to get it together now, mate. And you got to do your bird, mate. And it's like that, But he was crazy. And another one, they'd done a factory over Milton Keynes, some young traveller boys. And the way out, they hit the post, one of the gates, and he hit a security guard and killed him, like, you know what I mean? And he was in there, like, and there was a son, a famous boxer, Danny Rooney. I'm sure Danny Rooney's son was in there as well, like, and he was only a young kid, like, you know what I mean? I can remember Danny Rooney. He used to fight all over here, like. He was a very respected bare knuckle fighter, like.
Was there much fighting going on in the prison system when you was there?
Yeah. They put me. I'd get on. I would tolerate like in the doors, like. Really, I come off the doors and it was crazy, like, and I should have gone away. I deserved it, like. I had a gun, a sawn-off gun. I've shot fucking a few places up. Before that, I axed a few pubs up and a few bars up and gone around a few people. I was off the nutter, like, you know what I mean? It could have been a bad experience and not been having my parents. I can make excuses all day long that I didn't have parents. I got brought up by my grandmother. I didn't have an education. I could blame it all onto that. But why blame anything, like, you know what I mean? I deserve to be in prison. It's like any of you youngsters outside. If you fuck up in life, you will go to prison. Do your bird and get on with it, like, you know what I mean? Get an education, do things properly and come out and change your life around. I said, you know what I mean? But in the first place, you shouldn't have to. You've not lived through a Second World War or been the afterbirth after a Second World War. You shouldn't have to suffer like me, and a lot of people have suffered like. Anyway, Matt Legg, I trained him up. He was a good boy in prison. I mean, I reckon then when I trained him up in prison, he was as good as come out and aspire with Lenny McLean or Roy Shaw. He could have held his own with any of them, like Cliff Fields, Paul Sykes. Who's the other big bruiser you interviewed? The big musty
Lou Yates.
Lou had a beautiful body on him in his day. He was a strong man, stronger than I. He lost his son, God bless him, like, you know. But Lou was. I used to look up to them all, like all the old fighters, like, you know what I mean.
How did you get on with Roy? You met?
Oh, I loved Roy. He was like a god, wasn't he? Tina, I loved his daughter as well. His son was a lovely fella, like hard, very tough boy, like, and he looked a bit like Roy at times when he'd look at you, like, you know what I mean? He had that look about him, like.
They say that about Roy, don't they? Say he had a look of like death
on
on him.
When we buried the old man Joey Powell, no disrespect, young Joey Powell, if you don't mind mentioning this, I totally love you, like, if you can call me tomorrow. We've had our ups and downs, like, but you know I love you, and Ricky English and the firm, like Dave Courtney, I love you, like. A lot of them could have used me for things, or could have abused me, or could have got me involved in the wrong world, but they didn't. They kept me out of it. Like, I was a little bit. I wasn't naive. I was never a thief. I was never a bully, really, but I was a doorman, and I had to break fights up. And sometimes people would take the piss out, and they would give me a hiding, like. But at the end of the hiding, I'd give them a hiding back. They deserved it after what they done to me. I can remember when I used to get my clothes ripped. That's when I used to get really pissed off. Or when I was over in Spain, I used to go to school and they used to wait outside the school for me. I was English with fair hair, Rubio they used to call me. Rubio! Blonde hair like. And I used to go on the ball runs. I was only a kid, like, jumping in with the balls and everything, like. And the fiestas affair, the total respect to the Spanish people, but the kids used to wait for me, like, and give me hiding before I was the only English boy. I was all right when I was with my brother. My brother used to give me good hiding. but I wasn't as tough as my brother. So when he come back to England, I was by myself. They used to give me a hiding, and I was all right until they kicked the sandwiches out of my hands. Then I used to fucking go mental and give them a hiding, like. And when they things like that, if they give me a fucking good hiding, like, there was no sort of pain there. I don't know if it was something to do with the way I was brought up, or I used to think so. I had a very low opinion of myself, being illiterate, not being able to read or write, not being able to go to people, get on with people. I knew when when I was with gangs of people, when they'd go around one person's house, they wouldn't want me there, like.
Yeah.
So that's all right. I'll go by myself, like. And you know, a lot of disrespect, like, you know what I mean. And I knew I knew I had problems in that. It wasn't nice. It was horrible. And I promised myself as a child I'd never treat anyone the way I was treated. And I never have done, like, you know what I mean? I love showing respect. Her mum, I love her to pieces. I didn't know if to marry her or her mum, like. Her mum was just, her dad would have shot me, like, but I'd say I come from shit. I come from nothing. I'm literate, you know what I mean? I've been abused all my life, like. I had the arse ripped out of me. It took me a few hidings to give a few hidings, like, you know what I mean? I've never bullied, like. But I used to like my grandfather. He was a character, 22 stone he was, great big fucking, a tough man, like, a real tough man, like. And he was the governor of Barnet Fair, and no one would fight him. And then I see Lenny and Roy Shaw fight, and I thought, I'd rather watch that than a world title fight, you know what I mean? Who's the governor? And I used to love it. But I always shout it as a joke. I don't mean it as a threat.
Yeah.
But when I used to get in the ring, I used to go, who's the governor? I'm the governor. Come on in. Yeah. And there was a bloke once outside. He said, I'll fight you. I said, get in here. He said, no, you get out there. So I fucking jumped over.
I've seen that fight.
I was about 20 stone in 50 years of age. I admit when I was fighting for the governor title, I was old.
So what, you actually clumped the geezer in the crowd, didn't you?
Yeah, and then he got knocked out by his wife, you know.
And then you got out of the ring,
Clumped
had a
him,
fight
yeah.
out of the ring, and then got back in the ring and had a fight.
Yeah, then I had to wait for the bloke to come because he fucked off, like, he didn't want to fight me then, Jojo, and I spoke to Jojo before the fight. And I'm always friendly with people before the fight and after the fight, no matter who I fight. Even my worst enemy, if someone shot me, I'd probably still love them. I don't know, it's just the way I am. I forgive people. I'm very, very, very forgiving.
I suppose it's different when you're fighting in a ring. It's just a sport, isn't it? There's no bad beef there. It's just you're both going in, do the same job.
Because my dad, my cousin used to read the tea leaves and everything, and the cards, and like my gran used to be spiritual. I'm not like you have. You got told you was going. I know, unbelievable. Like, and Matt Legg, I took him to see a fortune teller. And back after seeing him, I've never seen Matt shit himself before. I mean, I've seen him fight fucking AJ and Tone Janies and Paul. Who's the traveller? Paul. What's the travellers? The big Joyces. Paul Joyce.
Yeah.
Paul Joyce was a giant of a man, like, you know what I mean? Fucking, he frightened me. Even to look at him, he frightened me, like, you know. And unbelievable. When Matt seen a fortune teller, a psychic, he come out. He nearly had tears in his eyes. He went white. He completely fucking. He said, "How does he know? How does he know everything?" I said, "No, I don't know. But you're not telling me everything, are you?" And he wouldn't. You know what I mean? I had to guess. Like he was involved in stuff. What I've warned him not to get involved in. Like I said, the gangsters will respect you if you're a good boxer. They reunite to boxing, like. And of course, once he got within Ricky English, what was Joey Poles's mate, Dave Courtney's mate, Joey Poles's mate, what was my mate here, what's his name?
Roy Shaw.
Roy Shaw's mate, what knew Lenny, it was them lot, you know what I mean? And when I learned, I've met Lenny before, like when I was doing the doors. He got brought into Wembley when I was doing the Wembley Arena. Like, it wasn't him; it was the security there. I told him to back off. Like, I said, listen, they're bringing T-shirts into the venue and selling. I used to do outside, but when they were coming in and selling it, then you'd get the people what would sell the T-shirts inside, and this is a multi-million-pound thing. Like, So you can't sell them in here, you know what I mean? And so I'd have to go inside and they'd get the ump, right? Then I had a bloke called Michael Dick, a professional boxer from Aylesbury with me, and he threatened to take them all on and beat them up. And I said, look, I'm sorry, I won't bring him back again. I apologise for it. I said, we don't want no trouble, mate. I said, look, I'm just trying to stop them from coming in and selling them, like, you know, all the T-shirts. I mean, Jackson was before him, like Michael Jackson. At Wembley, thousands of people turned, thousands amongst thousands, and it wasn't only Wembley. It was up north as well, like in Liverpool, and they're all over the country. Like even went over to Ireland. Like the merchandise, I didn't know it went on. I didn't know there was pirates. What sold the merchandise outside outside around Wembley, outside as they come out of Wembley, they come out the arena. And they'd be selling hundreds of thousands of T-shirts. And some of these vans like would stop and they'd have like hundreds or thousands of T-shirts. And so there was a turnover. And this is where I pissed off Alex McPhee and Billy McPhee. Like they're originally from Scotland. They moved down to Manchester, like, and people everywhere I went, even when I worked up in Scotland, I don't know, it must have been another McPhee they were talking about. He went up to Belinda Caldwell. I was doing one of her concerts. They said, we've had Billy up here, like, I put all the doormen out. So we all went outside. They said, my boss, Vic Bellamy, I used to mine for. He said, what happened? He said he wanted to beat us all up, like, but we come back in, like. So he was a feared man, really feared man, like, you know. And there was names of what I used to get in the street fights with. And I can remember always having my eyes cut open when they try and rip my eyes or my nose or my lip, like. And some of them were good fighters. Some were fucking good fighters, like. But I admit, when I was 25 years old, and I'll tell you the honest God truth, I'd have fought anyone. And I believe I would have beat anyone, like. I was a fitness fanatic, like, you know what I mean? Not only one sport, like boxing, like, I was already a champion, like, you know what I mean? I mean, I was a bit old when I fought for the guvnor title. I was nearly 50 years of age, but I still wanted to fight the best, like, you know what I mean? And I never lost a fight. Don't come and fight me now because you'll probably beat me up. I'm a pensioner. I'm an old man. Help! But I at 25 let him claim Roy Shaw. Anyone would have fought anyone. And I believed I would have beat them. Like, but that's when I was 25. Like, we all get that 6 months or 3 months or 1 year or 1 day or that 10 seconds where you're crazy and you would want to fight anyone.
Yeah.
And you know you'd had it in you to do it. But I know those days have gone now, and
it's like a
I've
hill,
got to keep my mouth shut.
To the top, reach the top, and then gradually start to come.
I mean,
down.
I was on the bag earlier on, like, I was puffing after that. Oh, dear. Oh. It's I let my parrot do the talking these days. And the policewoman pulled me up once. She said, "That's Dale Roberts." He said, yeah. She said, he frightens the life out of me. I said, but he's a lovely boy. She said, no, he got done for murder, like. I said, I didn't know that. Like, I said, but he's such a, he killed his mum, like, stabbed her to death, like, you know what I mean? I don't know what they done to him, like, it was a true story. It's something that really hurt me, like, because my brother phoned me up one day and said, you want to keep away from Dell, like, you know what I mean? I said, no. I said, you've got him wrong, like. I can remember I met him years later in prison when before Matt Legg, I was in prison, like, and he was in prison. I didn't recognise him, but he still had the body on him and everything. And he was there. I said, where you been? He was with me. He was with me for years in the dorm. But my brother said, you're going to have to lose him, Norman. I said, why? And they said, because of his... I said, but he's a lovely boy. And I can remember over in Wolverton, over Greenleys, he was going out with a girl there. And she had kids. And I went over there once and she had a little kitten who used to shit all over the place and piss over the place. And he was funny, he and this kitten and that, like, and it was nice. He'd settled down, like, he was with her with the kids. And another time I went over there, like, and she was worried the cat had disappeared. She said the cat had disappeared, but the dog brought it back. I said, what do you mean the dog brought it back? Well, the dog found it in the field and brought the kitten back, but the kitten had fairy liquid all over it, like washing up liquid all over it, like. And she said, it's strange. She said, because the dog wouldn't kill the kitten. Like, I don't know what the kitten was doing over in the field. I said, Dale, what's going on, mate? He said, the kitten was shitting everywhere, like pissing everywhere, all over the house. It had to go, like. So while I was washing the frying pan up, I put it under the frying pan to kill it and threw it over the fence, like, bless him, like. I said, you can't do that. I said, why don't you just give me the kitten, mate? I said, what'd you go and do that for? I said, it's a fucking baby kitten, mate. I said, you're going to have to pull yourself together, mate, you know. I can't, you know, we can't knock about together. You start doing stupid things like that. I said, you got kids here, like, you got a woman, like, you know. And he moved on and he had another girlfriend, and we had a fella from George King come down from London. He was I'd done his 60th birthday in Milton Keynes, the Directors, that's it. I was working for Richard Graham there in Directors. They had a lot of trouble there. A lot of the big boys, wine bar it was. You had a lot of Caswell and all the boys used to turn up there, and they were a little bit heavy for the place. So Richard got me in to have a word with them and keep everything sweet. So I worked there, like, and I had to do a party for George King from London, like. He had a son, Shane King, like, and sisters, you know, daughters. No disrespect to them, like, total respect to them. They're lovely people, like. But George, he changed his name when he came from London to George King. He was a supergrass. He put a lot of people away. And then I met him in prison, where I was with another bloke called Larnold, and he wouldn't talk to him. I said, why not? He said, he's a supergrass, like. I said to George, he said, yeah. He said, that's where the name supergrass come from. And he had Dale Roberts working for him. I don't know what they were knocking out, like heroin or something. But no disrespect, like, I think George is still alive now. He's nearly 100 years old, but he's got kids and everything. No disrespect to them. They're good kids, like, you know what I mean? And things moved on. And he was down the block a lot of the times. It fucking hurt me. One of the only times I ever cried, Dale Roberts, like. And he used to, the screws used to tell him when I used to train. So from the block, he used to come over there and train with me, because he used to get on with me. We used to get on years ago. I just said, Dale, you went a bit fucking silly, like, you know what I mean? I said, you know, what happened, like? He said, he suffers badly with depression, and he used to abuse the screws a lot of the times, like, when I was with him as well. And I said, don't abuse them, mate. I said, they got families like us, like, you know what I mean? I said, and I regret years ago I should have kept him with me and tried to help him, like, you know what I mean? And he had mental problems. He should have been on the hospital wing, really, like. He was in that bad depression, like, you know what I mean? And they knew, obviously, that he'd killed his mum and he'd done some fucking crazy things, like, you know what I mean? But like I said to them, like, I said, the man's mad, not so much bad, but mad. I said, he's mentally ill, like, he should be on a hospital wing and looked after, like. And one of the screws come to see me. He said, Norman, I've asked the governor, the top governor, for you to go and see her, like, but she won't see you because you're a con. I said, well, what can I do, like? He said, we wanted you over, he's taken a hostage, like, a woman hostage, over, I think it was the block or something, like. He took her in and held her in the cell for a few days or something, like. And I think Thingbob was there as well at the same time. Charlie Bronson, like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Did you meet Charlie?
No, I wanted to meet him. I've heard him singing, because when I was down there, like, I was, when they put me down the block, like, sometimes they say howl at the window, like, I thought, when they're fucking down there, like, it's fucking loony bit. Norman, shut up! Country roads! This wasn't me, this is someone else, another fucking country roads, take me home, West Virginia, here we go! And it's fucking nut. I used to sing out all the time, I used to hell, and I think I lost the plot. I was in deep depression then, because I thought I had an Adolf Hitler fucking uniform in the cupboard, and a fucking Mussolini uniform, like. I'd lost the plot, I'd gone mad. And not that I'm racist, I've never been racist in my life, but I think the way he used to come out and scream and shout like Hitler, like, and Mussolini was the same, like, how I didn't have a General Frankel uniform in the fucking cupboard, but I honestly believed I used to howl at the window, and they used to come to, Norman, shut up!
So what, did you hear Charlie in the other cells?
Well, this is what they're saying. They said, you're setting Charlie off. I said, I'd love to meet him. Can I go out and exercise? They said, no, we're not letting you two out of the fucking cabin. Now shut up. Or you go on double A or something like that. Or we'll get the dogs in. They didn't have dogs. But one was a mate of mine called Tomo, like. He was the top screw there, like. And he used to do the doors, like. And I remember when I come out, he sold me a fucking dog, a little bulldog it was. Little Irish bulldog, a pit bull he said it was. Fucking lovely it was. It grew into a fucking Great Dane, the fucking thing. I said, what are you doing? He sold me this little bulldog, what's turned into a Great Dane? He said, no, he said, look, the father was a bulldog, an Irish bulldog, was a pit bull. He said, but the mother was a fucking, one of those racing dogs, greyhounds, wasn't it, like, you know what I mean? I said, but you mugged me off. And he was a screw in prison what sold me that. So I got on with the screws in prison, like, and now and again I used to give him a little lump now and again, like, you know, like, boof, like that, down there. I used to give him little lumps, like, and one day I come past this fucking cupboard, like, and the screws behind me knew what was happening, like, and they went all quiet, and he jumped out of his cupboard, punched me in the chest, like, you know what I mean? And it was, I got on, I didn't dislike, I did punch a screw once, I didn't mean to, it was on the weights and Matt Legg was there, because Matt Legg was really shocked. And I put him in the gut, I pushed him over, like, because he wanted me to do the 50-50s on the weights, and I didn't want to do it, and he was just trying to wind me up, he knew I could beat the record. And I didn't want to do it, like, so I'll give him a slap in the belly, but it winded him, like, and he pressed the alarm and all the screws. But they didn't get me nicked for it, like, and I apologised to the man, like. I apologised for you, I shouldn't have done that. It was out of order, a lot of times I was out of order. And I shouldn't have done these things, but, you know, it's crazy, like. But your other mate, Tomo, sold me a pit bull, what was a fucking Great Dane, you know. Anyway, yeah, Charlie country songs he used to sing. And they used to go, shut up, Norman, shut up! They used to, we'll get the fucking dogs. They never had dogs in Woodhill, like. But they used to threaten me with the dogs, didn't they? They said, we'll get the dogs into you. All right. They said, you're setting Charlie off. I said, Charlie who? I said, Charlie. That was Charlie. I got a phone call out the blue one day, and I've got to meet him. Like, I love Charlie's sister. I'm friends with his sister. She's a lovely girl, his sister. And Charlie, you got to come off double A cat. You got to come off that double A cat. You got to come off the A cat and try. I know you're in Woodhill. Try and get onto 1A, like, and start mixing with the prisoners, like. You know what I mean? That's the only way you'll get out, like. While you're on a double A cat and you're way down the block, they're not going to give you parole, mate. I swear to God, I know what I'm talking about, like. I don't know if you want parole. I'm not too sure, mate. But if you do, tell them just the screws all right. They do like you, because I know some of the screws will look after you, and they can talk to you, and you can talk to them, and you have changed over the years, like, and it's about time you got out, mate. You don't need it. You don't die in prison, please. Oh, you got a sister, you got a mum out there as well. Do it for her. Come off the double A, come down to an A, then get onto A wing. And start once or twice a week. They'll let you mix with the prisoners and that. Get used to it, just a couple of times a week, like, you know what I mean? And see how you get on then. And if you get on, like, go to a C wing prison, like, you know what I mean? Go to a C wing, get on there. Or even from an A wing, go to a D wing, Spring Hill. Spring Hill's a lovely prison. Over Grendon Underwood, like, you know, it's not the Grendon prison, but it's the open prison there, like. Yeah. And you go, I was away for 2 years and they put me there, and it's an open prison. They only just got the cameras up so they can see everything, like, what's going on. But it was a lovely prison, like. Even in Woodhill, they used to have concrete fucking sheep in the fucking field, like, you know what I mean? I used to do all the gardenings and everything. So I used to meet the nutters over in the other prisons, the prison within the prison, like. And they used to rip the arse out of me. I used to give them a little bit of shit back. I couldn't give them too much, like, because I'd lose my job as a gardener, like. Then I'd done I worked in the laundry room, and if anyone come from the wings, like the paedophile wings, for their laundry, they used to say, right, what do they want? They want 20 jeans, extra large. They want t-shirts, extra large. Right. Give them 20 jeans, extra small, and t-shirts, extra small. I said, why? He said, no. He said, fuck them, like. He said, don't fucking. And he used to, like, take bits off, rip bits out of them and everything like that. And I said, fucking hell. And they, if a paedophile was hated, it's in prison, like. Because, I mean, there's a lot of people that come in. The lowest of the low, a lot of people in there. And I found a few of the kids on the YP wings that have been abused, the kids. You know, when these dirty bastards do what they do, you don't do it for, you know, for your 5 seconds of fucking whatever you get out of it. You scar children for life, and they're scarred for the rest of their lives. And they go into adults, if they last as long as an adult, they probably end up committing suicide, like. You know what I mean? It's, you know, fucking think about what you're doing, like your drug dealers, when you're selling this brown and all this shit, like, think about what you're passing down, like. This world don't need this shit, you know, you don't need all these drugs, don't need all these paedophiles, you know, fucking behave yourself, like, you know what I mean?
Norman, we're starting to wind it up there. Thank you ever so much for coming on today. It's been absolutely a pleasure meeting you.
God bless you, sir.
Thank you ever so much. Any last words before we go?
Yeah, kids, don't do drugs, you know what I mean, and keep your head down, education's the way forward, like. The gangsters, it's not a world you want to get involved in, like, you know what I mean? How about that, buddy?
Spot on.
I didn't realise he's had so many fights, so I'm lucky I didn't get my arse kicked.